Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me for today's Explainer. We are diving headfirst into an incredibly ambitious framework, literally a planetary operating system reboot. I mean, we're all feeling the strain of cyclic economic crashes and escalating geopolitical stress, right? Well, the architects behind the ARQ18 ecosystem are proposing this blueprint as the ultimate fix. The goal? To transition our entire society into a true resource-based economy. It's dense, it's absolutely fascinating, and we're going to break the whole thing down. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at fixing the scarcity glitch. Second, the hardware of abundance. Third, tokenizing the peace economy. Next up is governing the new OS. And finally, the blue zone transition. Let's start right off with part 1. Fixing the scarcity glitch, and upgrading the planetary OS. You know that feeling when your laptop completely freezes up and you just have to force restart the whole thing? Well, what if the entire global economy is essentially just running on bad code? The ARQ18 framework looks at our current geopolitical and economic strife, and they don't see it as inevitable human nature. Instead, they see it as a systemic technical error. They lean heavily into this computing analogy, arguing that our traditional systems, from finance all the way to geopolitics, are running on incredibly outdated, glitchy software. So right now, we're basically operating on what they call legacy code. This means we're constantly managing scarcity, dealing with zero-sum conflicts, and battling this high-risk premium that just repels capital. The proposed new code of the resource-based economy completely flips the script. It engineers an abundance reality with real asset-backed guarantees, which creates true operating stability. And the architects argue this isn't just about altruism, right? It's literally a necessary system upgrade to prevent those cyclic global crashes we keep seeing. To really sum up this diagnosis, the source material states, the core problem facing our planet is a scarcity mindset, a system-wide error we call the paradox of scarcity. It's a really fascinating paradox when you think about it. We actually already possess the technology, the energy, and the resources for universal well-being. Our failure isn't a lack of resources at all. It's just a glitch in distribution and zero-sum logic. And the entire ARQ18 framework was explicitly designed as the technical fix for this exact human paradox.
Moving on to part 2, the hardware of abundance, specifically focusing on the physical ARQ18 node.
This right here is the pioneer node. It's the physical, foundational building block of this resource-based economy. Forget the cold, clinical look of legacy industrial factories. What we have here is a sleek, off-grid, self-sustaining habitat. It's perfectly designed to blend right into a regenerative sanctuary, or what they call a blue zone. But hey, it's not just a nice-looking cabin. The specific technologies packed into these modular ARQ18 units are what really make them the engine of the entire resource-based economy. These systems independently provide the big 4 essentials: clean air, atmospheric water, shelter, and food. The food is grown using fogponic green walls specifically designed for whole food, plant-based harvesting. And crucially, these units function as regenerative microrefineries. They actually call them mining ATMs because they convert local garbage and organic waste into clean energy through high-efficiency gasification. Essentially, they literally vaporize waste to create clean power. It's wild. It cleans the past to feed the future. By deploying this future-proof ARQ18 infrastructure, the architects claim we can achieve something called leapfrogging. Think about how some developing nations skipped building landline telephone poles and just jumped straight to cell towers. It's like that. This infrastructure allows communities in underdeveloped or post-conflict regions to bypass the fragile industrial age entirely, jumping straight into a self-sufficient, technologically advanced model state. Which brings us to part 3, tokenizing the peace economy. Going from aid to assets. $18. It's roughly the price of a fancy city salad, right? But in this ecosystem, $18 is the anchor of the entire economy. Within the ARQ18 framework, the primary investment vehicle is the Bar-ness QION token. But unlike those wildly speculative digital currencies we hear about, this token is strictly pegged to $18. And why is that? Because that exact number represents the real-world value of one 400-calorie whole food plant-based meal. So the token's value is anchored directly to tangible, life-sustaining output. Now, this token is secured by the Bar-ness Q Sign-REIT. That's a real estate investment trust. But this isn't just about buying commercial property. It's an asset-backed trust that secures generated wealth directly into physical spaces, specifically those ARQ18 nodes we just talked about. The transformative goal here is to totally recode human incentives. Instead of some distant Wall Street firm owning the building, the local community itself holds fractional ownership of the very infrastructure keeping them alive. It turns dependent aid recipients into sovereign asset holders. Talk about a game changer. And this creates what the sources call the peace-for-profit flywheel. It's a brilliantly self-reinforcing loop. First, you establish a verifiable trust layer. This dramatically lowers risk, which naturally attracts large-scale capital to build the hardware. That deployment then creates high-margin stability and local prosperity. And finally, those profits are reinvested right back into the communities. So when a local population's personal wealth is directly tied to their own infrastructure, war and violence effectively become a terrible business model. The system actually makes peace highly profitable, organically eliminating the incentive for zero-sum conflict. All right, part 4, governing the new OS. Let's look at GNI, QION, and QIPA. To maintain all that stability we just mentioned, the system relies on a continuous loop between two key algorithmic systems. Think of QION as the nervous system. It acts as the core BIOS, connecting all the physical devices and communities together into a unified oneness network. On the flip side, QIPA acts as the immune system. It's a predictive firewall. QIPA is constantly monitoring the network, and if it detects any viruses, like legacy, zero-sum behaviors, or resource hoarding, it actively blocks them and instantly prescribes an alternative path that aligns with human-centric unity. Now, you might be wondering, how do we keep these advanced quantum intelligence algorithms from becoming cold or detached? Well, they are governed by a highly humanized ethical code known as the guilt-free standard, enforced by the Genie intent engine. It's incredibly simple but powerful. 1, do no harm. 2, help if you can. And 3, if you're unsure, just ask. This acts as the moral operating system for the whole network, ensuring that the pursuit of efficiency and profit always remains aligned with collective human well-being. The sources actually synthesize this entire structure as the Triple Helix interplay. You have the hardware, that's the physical ARQ18 layer providing energy and logistics. You have the software, the moral OS managed by Genie. And you have intelligence, the predictive pathfinding via QIPA. In short, hardware gives you the resources, software provides the morals, and intelligence maps the absolute best route forward. The intersection of these 3 elements is exactly what creates the operating stability required for a resource-based economy to actually function without collapsing. Okay, bringing it home with part 5, the blue zone transition, or entering the keel zone.
So the user journey to actually enter this reality is highly structured. In the initial days, participants take a social education course to actively shed that old scarcity mindset. It's a necessary psychological vetting process. In the weeks following, users physically visit an ecotourism hub, like the Pilot Delicious Resort over in Portugal, to experience the peace economy and the ARQ18 harvest firsthand. Moving forward, they integrate into the Club Kill system, where they earn algorithmic honor based on their contributions to the community. This algorithmic honor effectively acts as a form of social currency, ensuring you actually have a replacement for traditional money in this new resource-based economy.
The overarching philosophical goal of this entire network is beautifully summarized by the metaphor of the digital lotus. You see, instead of humanity aggressively expanding outward and exporting our terrestrial flaws, our zero-sum competition and resource hoarding into the future, the Genie network acts as a temporal fail-safe. It preemptively reroutes our trajectory inward, recalibrating us for an unfolding human-centric unity right here on Earth. Which leaves us with a final, rather profound question to ponder. Is this incredibly ambitious planetary operating system reboot, this massive shift to an algorithmic resource-based economy running on ARQ18 hardware, a viable blueprint for humanity's future? Are we looking at an engineering inevitability or just a utopian dream? Well, that is absolutely for you to decide. Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me today, and keep learning.